Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Every Degree Matters. I'm your host Saffran Minhar. I hope you all had a great Christmas, and I hope all your Christmas wish came together for the kids and for adults as well. We had a great Christmas, and it was amazing. Where I live it was raining, and some part of it was snow, rain. But anyways, hope you guys had a great one. So with that, let's get into the today's topics. We're going to talk about a big news came out. A lot of things is happening, especially with the Epstein files. A lot of Epstein, more pictures have been released. Also, we are having a news what's happening with the conservative movement. You guys all saw what happened with MFest more recently in the big conference that Turning Point organizes every year. So let's get to the show with that.
And you wanna write it down? Would it kill you just to listen? And you wanna sell it out with the words out of your position. Hold on. And you wanna see the break of dawn. Brush your hair back from your face. You won't see me when
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining with Every Degree Matters. This is your host Saffran Minhar. First, let's talk about the Epstein files. As you all know, you all might have seen a lot of pictures coming in, and people are starting to question what happened with, especially with President Clinton. So he was the former president, and what kind of relationship he had. And we also saw a spokesperson saying that for Clinton, that this is really targeted just for him, and they're trying to hide something big that's happening. But in all honesty, I feel like they should release all the pictures and everyone. I'm not in for protecting any pedophiles, and I think this is where the country needs to go. And I hope President Trump and the DOJ will take good initiative so that we protect all this kind of people. And also, on the other hand, I don't know. I mean, people can also use these things for like grabbing them by power, and also making them how they could control these people. But I might guess, but anyways, like, I'm a faithful person. I believe and I think these people should be brought to justice, and that's the main thing I wanted to say about Epstein file. Hopefully this drama comes to an end and people are prosecuted for who have been, or people are getting, like, I mean, I feel bad for Prince Andrew. He's the only one just getting dragged and everything, but what about the other people around? So it's really sad. So it's just that one or two people get caught and the rest of the people just walk freely, or can walk freely. And we also saw President Trump ordering a strike as in Syria. He also ordered a strike yesterday on Nigeria. The president of Nigeria requested it to battle ISIS. So ISIS has been crazily going around in Syria, and plus in Nigeria, northern part of Nigeria, which is really crazy. And Nigerian president called President Trump and asked him a favor to help taking down the terrorists. So they took down the terrorists. The U.S. military was involved in taking down, especially in the northern part. And I think it's a good leadership by President Trump, showing that U.S. is always there for our allies, and also tackling ISIS. This was crazy terrorist organization that they targeted in Syria, in center, and weapon storage facilities where it was targeted, particularly in Syria. But if you look at the Nigeria, it was just in also a lot of bases in Nigeria was hit. The ISIS centers was hit in Nigeria. We also, this is crazy, the MIT and Brown University shooters, the shooting suspects, were found dead on between 18th and 19th of December, where they found police found suspect connecting to Brown University mass shooting that happened last time. We spoke about it, and they also spoke about the MIT professor was found in dead in a storage unit in New Hampshire. The manhunt for followed December 13th. I mean, you guys all know what happened in 13th of December, where uh, a lot of bad things happened, especially in Brown University. So these two people who presumed to be the shooters are dead. Kind of, I don't know. It all leads to a stupid. I mean, I don't know. This is where conspiracy theorists come to play a big role, and like, oh, this happened, that happened. I don't know. It sounds like we are living in a stimulation. Like our good friend Joe Rogan says, this is a simulation. It would be really crazy if we found out that this we have been living in a stimulation. So the other topic that's really we have to touch upon is that the AmpFest. This is the annual conference of Turning Point USA that was founded by the great late Charlie Kirk. And they had a big lineup of speakers, and Ben went after Tucker, and Megan Kelly, and Candace Owens. These are big, these are influential podcasters like me on the conservative side, and where they were they were calling out at each other. I don't think it felt good. I feel it's just it shows a lot of division between this in conservative movement, especially the podcast world of the conservative movement, and also the main influencers. We also saw JD Vance went after, so Vivek Ramaswamy went after Nick Fluenters, and that went back and forth with Nick. Nick wasn't there, but Nick responded to it on his X profile after following those days. And Steve Bannon was there. He called out Ben Shapiro. I don't know. I think for me, Ben should be either America first or Israel first. He's back and forth going. I don't know where he stands. He was never a Trump fan, so I feel like he might some of the stuff what he said was true, but I don't know if that was the right place to say. At the same time, I feel like Ben went after Megan Kelly. She's been here way before anyone, and Tucker Carlson. They have been in this movement way before Ben even started talking. So, which is really funny. So I believe that he should have not done that. I don't know. Maybe he wants DeSantis to get elected next time as the president, but I don't think he has the charisma, or I don't know, the leadership. He could be a great governor, but I don't think he could be a great president. I'm not sure about it. So there was a big fight, not argument. They were calling out each other. Brent really criticized Tucker basically, and then you have to also look at the difference. How Turning Point gave 20 minutes to Ben and 45 minutes to Tucker. That's like a big difference, right? So Tucker was a big friend, a closest friend of Charlie. So that was a really a big moment for Tucker. They have a huge relationship, so which I don't know. And then Nicki Minaj came in, and she had a big shout out for President Trump for helping in Nigeria, as we spoke about it, and where she was encouraging the president to help the Christians that have been impacted, especially through the northern people of Nigeria are mostly Christians, and I believe that's why Nicki Minaj was calling out. She was there at the AmpFest conference, and she was closing out with Erica Cook, and she also had a lot of followers lost in the last a week or so since she appeared on that. I mean, she should know what she was doing, but I think she's a good voice, and I think she has realized how much President Trump's work is really important and how they need to support, especially, she's a faithful person, so that makes her really hard, really a good traction to the conservative movement, because they always go with the faith including. And we also saw the big fight. Anthony Joshua knocked Jake Paul out, and I think I have huge respect for Jake for fighting with Anthony, and also he's Anthony Joshua, right? Come on, 2 times winner, heavyweight champion, and I think they had his jaw was cracked in here and here. So nothing is going to be same afterwards. Hopefully he recovers. Shout out to Jake and Anthony Joshua. knocking me out on round six. And hope Jake recovers. And I think I have big respect for him for doing this, because many people would have backed out. And he said, I'm going for the pro and fighting with this guy, and different class level of fighting, which is amazing. And I mean, he stood for 6 rounds, was great, in my opinion. We also saw they made a lot of money, of course, and then we saw what do you call? He's getting recovered. Hopefully, his jaw is fixed. And he comes back and fight with another person. President Trump also gave a Christmas speech, and it was funny. You guys must watch this phone conversation he was asking with the kids. What do you want for Christmas? It's hilarious. President Trump, the best comedian, I would agree, in a lot of cases. Good for him, and that's the presidency we had. We also saw President Trump announcing that drug prices will be reduced, the reduction of drug prices along with the pharmaceutical companies, and he also said that MJN, GlaxoSmith, Merck, and Novus agreed to lower their prices in the U.S. and so-called favored nations pricing strategy. This company is also aligned with the U.S. Pricing more closely with prices in other developed countries across Asia, across the market. So with people also that have Medicare and cash payers. So kudos to President Trump. Go for it. These companies charge a humongous amount of money on the consumers, where they can reduce this charge the same. They charge fraction of a cost in Canada or in Europe. So why would Americans have to pay more? And also, like what Mark Cuban is doing with costplusdrugs.com, go and visit that. He's cutting the middleman and reducing all the prices, which people can. He's trying to take over the PBM market, which will be really, really amazing. And I'm all for it. And President Trump is also having a conversation with him. And he also started something different, as it's called Trump RX. That will be launched in trumprx.com. That will be launched in January next year, in a week or so, where they will have a huge reduced price cost available for the consumers. So like Mark Cuban, what is he doing? Trump is going to do in big scale, where it's also could help Cuban's initiative, which will be amazing. And I think these are the things that we all should support. The prices have gone now, will go down eventually, so people don't have to pay a higher cost in this all stupidly markup prices of healthcare. I mean, come on. Healthcare should be free. I think we are one of the superpower country in the world, the largest economy in the world, and I believe that we should offer free healthcare to all our citizens. Basic care should be free. Additional cares or anything could be like half pay, co-pay, something you can come up with. But emergency care should be free for all. And I think that's something that we all have to think about, because we are the richest country in the world, and we don't want. One of the highest suicide rates are because of financial debt, and the financial debts are more on medical financial debt. So that's a lot of people end up in. President Trump also, I don't know if he wants to put his name everywhere. He announced that the US announced that there will be a Trump class battleship. He wants to make a battleship and build a new classes of battleship for the US Navy under the name calling as Trump class. First they're going to start with 2 vessels, and then they're going to continue, but he wants his name on the vessel. As always, President Trump being President Trump. If you go to Manhattan or Florida, you can see all his name: Trump Tower, Trump Golf Center. A lot of things he wants to put his name on. I don't know. I mean, he's a person who wants to be shown off. And President Trump also, a lot of things about President Trump, but he's been doing a lot of things. See, this is what crazy about, like, I feel like everybody's going on vacation, he's working. That's the president, right? We got to give it to this man. 80 years old, 79, turning 80 next year. But it's crazy that he's waking up, he's awake late night, raging on Truth Social on posts back and forth. At the same time, trying to help bring this country back. And we also had a great economic growth, 4.3% growth in Q3. Fantastic. That's never happened in the US history. They all predicted it will be somewhere between 3.7 or 3.3, but it went above and beyond. Everybody was shocked, especially the legacy media. They were like, oh wow, it doesn't happen. And nobody reported about it. They just had a post. I remember when he had the speech that he did, the Oval Address speech, a couple of weeks ago, we spoke about it, where he was talking about, oh yeah, the economy is going great and doing everything. And then I saw MSNBC and Jen Psaki was commenting, saying, the economy is still, inflation is up. And then now they are not saying that, oh, it's good, it's everything is in a good direction. Nobody wants to talk about it. They always wanted to shit about him. I'm not saying he does stuff that you can be critical about, but at the same time, you have to tell to the public the economy is growing because the tariffs are in place, and also he has done a great job in negotiating with all these companies to build factories, which they have started already, to bring back all the jobs. It will take time, but it will be awesome and better. President Trump also recalled from 30 countries. He recalled all the ambassadors. It was also from Sri Lanka too, where he wanted to send new people on, and which there will be a lot of new people will be sent in January, I believe. That's also will be focusing on America First policy. They say so. So hopefully, all these new people will be appointed. I think they are already appointed, and they will take their duties beginning of next year, which is in 2 weeks. It's crazy that we are almost in the end of 2 years. We also have, like I said, guys, hope you guys all had a good Christmas, because there's a lot of snowstorm across 16 states, a lot of rain in California. Yeah, SoCal was soaking in rain. But we also had flash floods. A lot of hillside area had landslide warnings. People were evacuated in Southern California, which is sad. Hope you guys had some kind of Christmas this year, but the rain has stopped finally. But the snow in Tahoe, in a lot of other regions, are piling up. And I hope please stay safe. Don't be stupid and drive your cars in the snow and get rear bumped, back bumped for no reason, and you get stuck in the ice. Don't leave if you really have to leave. If not, just stay home. President Trump is also trying to escalate the war in. I don't know, to change to asking Maduro to step down, and he has also escalated against Venezuela in oil and narco terrorism. We spoke about it in the last episode, where Trump has carried out a lot of strikes on the boats that also supply fentanyl, and they believe they also had fentanyl and all those things smuggled into the U.S. They also had narco-terrorism government links the shipment of funding drugs and criminal activities in Venezuela. Strongly condemned these actions and calling the piracy under international law. So Maduro has called international law, saying that Trump can't do. But you also have, this is a big geopolitical thing what is happening right now, because if they continue to supply oil to China, the US the oil market will shift towards Venezuela, and then countries like Saudis and the Qataris and the UAEs, the Bahrain, the Emiratis, they will all be impacted. So they don't want them to have that relationship. So President Trump is trying to take control over it, I feel like. And I also feel like, this dictatorship doesn't work. So hopefully I don't want boots on ground, and hopefully this stops and we can come to a diplomatic solution. Diplomacy always works. Don't get into war. We are just recovering. We had the largest economic recovery, and we had the best economy in 2 years since we went in the Q3. 4.3% of growth, GDP, amazing. I don't want this to go in the other direction. So I hope we can fix it. And I hope President Trump takes some good initiative in making sure we finally do what we wanted to do in Venezuela. So with that, let's get into some international space, because I feel like a lot of things have happened in the last week. Former Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan, has been sentenced to 17 years in jail. So this comes after there was a lot of speculation that what is happening, the trial hasn't happened, and then finally he got 17 years of imprisonment. And then he also said both also, so what do you call, to 17 years in Toshakana, to corruption case involving allegedly illegal sales and purchase of state gifted luxury item. Both were fined 10 million Pakistani rupees, 75. This is Khan's third Toshakana conviction. He has been jailed since 2023 and already been serving other sentences. So this was another sentence that was added to him. This is what happens when a good guy tries to come and solve corruption. They put him to something, they trap him, and I don't know. He was a great prime minister. Hope President Trump can get involved with the Pakistanis and say, hey, listen, this guy was a great guy, release him. I don't think he should serve 17 years in jail. He was a great cricketer, guys. Come on. So Russia violence continues despite de-escalation signal. Although Russian officials have publicly signaled opening, so Russia has opened. Still they are bombing. What do you call? Though this is something has happened in Russia. This violence are continuing because Lieutenant General Fanny Sarova was killed in a car bomb in Moscow, the third highest ranking Russian military assassination. Wow. So they have killed the highest ranking officer in Russia, probably by the, I don't know, the KGB. I don't know whatever it is. So EU has already extended its sanction against Russia through July of 2026, but hopefully this peace deal comes to an end. Talking about Russia, they're also trying to suppress opposite voice. It's their business. It's not our business. But I think the peace talk might come to a good positive faith. I believe. I also think President Zelensky is also coming to meet Trump in Sunday at Mar-a-Lago. So hopefully we can agree upon new topics, new points on the peace deal, and this can be worked out. Russia is also showing some interest. I hope Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, who are and of course Secretary Rubio, are trying to figure out this deal. And I hope President Zelensky comes with the proper clarity of mind, what he wants, and not flip-flopping. And also what can they leave to Russia, and also stop this stupid war that was started. Stupid. I don't know what was happening. And there has been and then we also saw in the recent days that there has been a big escalation between the EU and China. Friction has started in trade. The trade between China and European Union have escalated, with Beijing imposing. They have imposed 42% tariffs on EU daily imports, and including dairy. So that means milk, cheese, anything that's milk. This stuff is a widely viewed as retaliation for. So what EU, as you all know, there's a higher tariff on BYD cars, the electric car company that's trying to sell in Europe. I feel like in EU. So they are retaliating it with the dairy products, because China imports a lot of dairy products from EU, which is a good. EU dairy products are really good. I like their meat. Lambs and everything, and their milk is so good too. So now China is retaliating, saying that you guys don't let us sell the. You guys have a higher because the China has a higher tariff, significant violent dispute in especially with the duties for Chinese electric cars, especially BYD, which is amazing. I saw a lot of new cars. But the EU has de-announced the move as unjustified, and the tensions are expected to continue into 2026. So 2026, we will still continue the tension, but I think Europe has to also think about it. Listen, I mean, BYD is a great car. I mean, if consumer needs it, you all have to have an option, right? That's what capitalism is. You can't. Well, they have socialism, whatever. They can do it whatever they want to start. So Japan, on the other hand, is restarting their major nuclear power plants because they are preparing for what is going to be the AI energy need. So they're preparing it. The nuclear policy by preparing to restart a number 3 reactor at Tomari nuclear power plant, formerly offline. So this power plant was offline since 2012 after Fukushima. And then the restart is subjected to safety upgrade and regulatory approval and targeting on 2027. This is energy boost, security, and global transition. So Japan is getting ahead of curve because they have seen, as we all have to see in the US too, there will be a big demand for power, energy. As I always tell, when AI is growing, when AI becomes more stronger, we need more power to power all these data centers, to power all these chip manufacturing plants. The AI is going to consume a lot of energy. We need to build power plants. Nuclear power plants are the safe. The fourth generation nuclear power plants are really safe. I think the United States have already started to. I think President Trump announced in opening some, building some in the U.S. I think, which is really good. I mean, great for Japan to thinking about it, not going to end up like Germany, where they closed all the nuclear power plants, or they're closing all of the nuclear power plants. So let's see what will happen in that aspect. We also had a big global banking delivery. So the major global banks, especially the central banks, delivered an aggressive easing. That means in 2020, this year, the world's largest central banks executed the biggest monetary easing effort in over decades. Listen to this, guys. This shows how the global economy is. 9 major central banks around the world has cut the interest rate. So which will 32 times in total. So and reduce the borrowing cost by 850 basis points combined. So emerging market also saw widespread rates cuts in total 3,085 basis points across 51 moves. The shift flows early lightning in 2022 to 2023, reflecting shows inflation efforts to stop support growth. So they all are seeing a big inflation that's happening. This is the COVID recovery, I would say. And implications are lower borrowing costs may bolster investment, but also raise concern about future inflation risk. When it suddenly, like for example, when the inflation is, when we try to print money to help the economy, and the inflation goes up. At the same time, when we try to sell all these bonds for a lower price, there's a risk of inflation going up. So we got to be careful about it. Hopefully, these moves that they take, I'm not an economic expert, but I can say from the past that cutting interest rates allows more people to buy bonds. At the same time, it shouldn't be also leading to another inflation. The inflation is at 2.7 now. Hopefully, it can go down in America. In globally, I don't know what's the point. But we have seen how banks are helping to cut. No, they aren't helping. They're, of course, helping the consumers to reduce the interest rate and also trying to sell more bonds. That's how the cash flow happens. You guys have to check out how you can buy bonds or anything. So, on the other hand, Israel approves for 9 new settlements in West Bank. President Trump is so angry about it, and apparently he's Netanyahu is coming to the U.S. for the fifth time next on Monday, I guess. I hope President Trump thinks about it, because the long-standing history of United States have been they cannot annex the West Bank in Palestine. So hope President Trump talks about this, and he is trying to get more control. Israel is Netanyahu is doing this because he wants to still, because the right-wing coalition. That's why he's the prime minister. If he loses that, he's gone. So this is going to have a big impact on his popularity, and it also might have a big international reaction. Let's see what President Trump says when he's here next week. I believe so. And the international countries, also the international reaction for this is that 14 countries raised a joint statement that includes France, Germany, Britain, and Japan and Canada, urging US to reverse Israel to reverse this decision. This is so stupid. They can just, what the fuck? They can just go and annex all these, I don't know, settlements in West Bank. Like, come on, guys, you guys are going to lose a lot of people because some stupid stuff you guys do, and that impacts more on a wider range, according to you guys. It impacts. And then there is more rise of anti-Semitism. A lot of packages comes along with it. Hope you guys realize it and reverse this. And I hope President Trump stands for what has been the long standing of United States, that no annexation of West Bank. Has been a policy for 5 decades now, since inception of Israel. The US also barred 5 European over tech rule, condemning EU for the move. As I spoke about this, the State Department banned giving visas for 5 prominent European individuals from entering the United States, accusing them of pressuring the American tech companies to censor the US viewpoints. It's also part of what happened on X. There's a lot of censorship happening, a lot of for the consumers in UK or EU. People are getting jailed. So President Trump is saying that you guys have to relax all those things. This is not freedom of speech. And France and a lot of other countries retaliated to saying, condemned the United States for doing that. I'm like, where is your freedom of speech? Like, what was the whole French, walking on the streets and striking and marching and all these things? I don't know. I thought that was the birth of protest and against governments and unions and everything. What happened to you? Where is the socialism part? Like, you guys jail people to if they say something that you don't agree on their social media post. Come on, guys, you guys have to step it up. I mean, I don't know. You guys came up with this whole. You guys are the pioneers of especially with freedom of expression and freedom of protesting against a lot of. When I lived in France, like, I always saw a lot of protest happening, and it was all okay. And now suddenly social media cannot happen. You can't post stuff in social media. So that's why because to retaliate on that, President Trump has sanctioned these 5 people not getting visa, not sanctioned, not allowing them to enter, because they have to get an ETA. I think they didn't approve them. So hopefully EU thinks about it and comes to a conclusion where they could let all these social media companies not arrest people or for social media posts and for stupid things, where they have to more take care of people that are committing violence, in like physical violence in those countries. This is stupid. I hope the EU comes to a mind of awakening and figure out what it is. So anyways, with that, thanks for joining, guys. Hope I made justification for listening to me for half an hour. I hope you all have a good new year. Think about what has happened this year. A lot of things have happened for you guys. A lot of things are going to be heading over to 2026. What personal changes you guys wanted to do. Think about that. How much of changes you want to make in 2026, and also think of how the economy is going, what financial decisions you're going to take. With that, signing off for another with another podcast of Every Degree Matters. I'm your host Saffran Minhar. Talk to you soon. Bye.